Renata, good morning, bonjour, kalimera from Greece. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this important session which will discuss, I think, the key issue of whether Europe can achieve energy interdependence and, of course, which may be the new strategies to achieve this important mission or target, if you like. My name is Symeon TSOMOKOS. I represent the Delphi Economic Forum in Athens. We were established in 2016. These days, we are not only in Delphi, but we have satellite events in Washington, in Brussels, in Toronto, and the major capitals in the Balkans. But I would like to say and thank Mr. George Koutaru, because we have signed recently a memorandum of understanding so that we cooperate with the New Strategy Center. And mind you, George and his team was in Athens recently. The ambassador was with him as well. So, and of course, needless to say that visiting Bucharest is always a pleasure. It's a city that it is very close to my heart. So I'm honored to moderate the presentations and the discussions of this crucial, if I may say so, topic. And I trust that the speakers of this panel will shed light to the questions which are important. Let me read the questions that perhaps we need to discuss right now. How the European Union can possibly harmonize its transition to a climate-neutral economy and at the same time secure its energy supplies. This is a big question mark. How we, all the European countries, can actively prevent future disruptions in the energy issues. I understand that these 12 months, the ministers of energy of Europe, they met 22 times in Brussels in order to discuss how they can collectively tackle this important issue. Another question is how important and urgent are the regional energy interconnectors for ensuring energy security in the European Union. And of course, we have to discuss the local Romanian issues. What will be the impact of Romania's future development of its Black Sea offshore oil and gas reserves in the region and the broader European energy security. So with this, let me introduce you our distinguished speakers. His Excellency, Mr. Virgil Popescu, Virgilius in Greek, Minister, Minister of Energy of Romania, who was appointed Minister of Energy in December 2020, a little before COVID hits Europe. Mr. Popescu has also served at important government positions throughout his career. I would like also to welcome His Excellency Victor PARLICOV, who is the Minister of Energy at the Republic of Moldova, who has recently appointed as Minister of Energy, but he has dealt with public policies and particularly in the energy sector in the various roles for over 15 years. I would like to invite also His Excellency Mr. Yannis MANIATIS, Professor, former Minister as well, in Greece. I must tell you, Mr. MANIATIS is considered in Greece as one of the most knowledgeable political leaders in the energy field in our country. He is presently a professor at the University of Piraeus. And Ambassador Lazăr, COMânNESCU, Secretary General at the Black Sea Economic Cooperation, a foreign minister during the years 2015 to 2017, with over 40 years, Your Excellency, of diplomatic career, and you have dedicated most of your knowledge and efforts to the multilateral diplomacy. And thank you for joining us today, and thank you for joining us in Delphi last April. So with this, I will kindly ask the Minister of Energy of Romania to give his brief remarks. I understand that each speaker will speak for 5, 6, 7 minutes, and then we're going to open the floor for questions. Minister.
Thank you very much for the words, and I apologize, but as I spoke with the organizer, we have to speak in Romania, so I will switch to Romania, and I hope you all will have some translation. Deci vă mulțumesc pentru invitația la acest.
Inviting me to this very important forum. I come gladly. I answer the invitation gladly as any time. And yes, we are living through complicated times because
Suntem într-o zonă a Mării Negre care este o zonă complicată.
living in an area which is very complicated. If I remember well, in August 2021, I drew the attention on possible market handling of natural gas prices by the Russian Federation through Gazprom, including within energy councils in Brussels. It wasn't really taken into account, that kind alert that I've made then. Later on, I saw that this price influencing somehow prepared or paved the road to the Russian invasion in Ukraine. What Putin wanted, what the Russian Federation wanted, they wanted to divide Europe, to cause great turmoil, and it wanted to create a perfect storm. What happened is that he failed. Europe and the democratic world, alongside the allies, the US, NATO, stood strong and united. And together, we've overcome this apocalyptic winter that had been announced. The apocalypse that failed to arrive. Why? Because Europe stood united alongside democratic allies, because Europe helped Ukraine, because Europe helped the Republic of Moldova, and because we continue to help. And this basically, in the over 20 councils on energy that we've had last year, have led to even greater strengthening of the solidarity and unity in all areas in the member states. What should we do now? We should continue this solidarity, this unity, and we have to continue to support Ukraine and Moldova. What we as Romania do for Moldova, we strengthen as much as we can, and even more energy integration in the EU. We've already built the gas pipeline Iași-Chișinău. We've approved a memorandum yesterday in the government to even strengthen and integrate the Republic of Moldova in the electricity and natural gas transport system of the European Union. We want to increase capacity of the Iași-Chișinău gas pipeline. We want to connect a 400 kilowatts high voltage line so that we can have a direct flow of electricity with Moldova, starting from Suceava and Suceava-Balți. And this is what Romania is doing, and Moldova has concluded a PPA, or will conclude a PPA type of contract with Nuclearelectrica to build nuclear reactors 3 and 4. We want to supply electricity to Moldova from Romania, and to no longer depend, for them not to depend anymore from third parties that might be unsafe or unsecure. They are our brothers. I salute the presence of my friend and colleague, Minister PARLICOV, in Bucharest, and we will do what we can to ensure the energy independence of Moldova alongside the energy independence of Romania, because yes, Romania has a very clear objective of energy independence. We've shifted the objective from energy security to energy independence, because we can reach this through the nuclear program that we have developed and that we continue. 2 new reactors, 3 and 4, and the modular reactor in Doicești, the exploitation of natural gas in the Black Sea that will ensure independence for the natural gas supply, and of course securing the supply in the region, because we will produce more than we will be using, and of course to transform the energy system at national level and to move from the coal-based production to renewable energy-based, using as a transition fuel natural gas. These are the main objectives: to transform the Romanian energy system into a clean energy system without CO2 emissions, to gradually reduce CO2 emissions, and of course to reach the energy independence objective. I could speak quite a lot on this matter. I would like to listen to the opinion of our panelists, colleague panelists, in this session. And of course, I am here to take your questions. Thank you.
To Moldova, very well, welcomed.
Solidaritatea binevenită față de Moldova. Aș dori foarte pe scurt să vă întreb ceva. V-ați întâlnit de mai multe ori în Europa cu privire la politica de energie comună. Ce credeți că poate face Uniunea Europeană?
The energy independence in the months to come or the years to come.
We already start the common platform, purchase platform. The first transaction already begins. It will be another 2-3 rounds of transactions. So Europe now, all member states agree to start this platform. This will achieve, I think, better prices and better quantities of natural gas for the supply of next winter. We work together now at a new market design that has the objective, has the scope to have predictable price. PPA and CFD, it's in the center of new market design. I am very anxious to meet again my colleagues in Luxembourg next month and to discuss and hopefully to finalize this new market design. We are discussing about the gas package. We are discussing about production of hydrogen. We are a pro-nuclear country. We are among the 10 member states, like-minded states, that want to promote nuclear energy, because I really believe that decarbonization, which is the final objective of EU, without nuclear energy is not possible. So we are working together. We want to develop this. We want to integrate more in a common energy market, and we want to have together with us Moldova and Ukraine.
Thank you, Minister, very much. I must admit we envy Romania because they can enter the nuclear power, because in Greece, unfortunately, we cannot do that because of the earthquakes that we normally have in this country. So thank you very much. I would like to kindly ask the Minister from Moldova for his introductory remarks. Minister.
Eu tot voi vorbi în limba română. Eu sper că există
I hope you have interpretation. I will be speaking in Romanian. Let me start by saying that when first meeting the colleagues in Romania and my counterpart, Minister Popescu, I understood that Moldova has a great place in the hearts of Romanians. And let me confirm that it's the same in Republic of Moldova.
Dacă să vorbim de acest
If we are to refer to this security forum and to the topic of this panel, can Europe achieve energy independence? Well, first and foremost, it's not. Let me start, however, from certain ideas. Where does Europe start and where does it end? This was predefined by Russia's brutal military aggression against Ukraine. Due to the bravery and the resilience of the Ukrainians today, the border of Europe is what it is, and Moldova is part of an area that is far safer than it used to be until this aggression took place. And let me thank and pay tribute to the Ukrainian resistance and to the international mobilization without which Ukraine could not have stood strong against this military aggression. If until 2024, no, says the speaker, if until February 2022, Russia was attempting or was attempting to destabilize through hybrid mechanisms, including NATO members. It was something regular day in, day out. But nowadays, when things are clear, Ukraine is in fact the border, the area of security. That includes us as well, Moldova. An interesting aspect on energy that I always want to refer to, and maybe that is not as obvious, the military aggression from Russia, or led by Russia against Ukraine, started just a mere hours after Ukraine and the Republic of Moldova disconnected from the old Soviet energy system as a test, functioning as an island, an unstable island, as a pre-step to sink into the continental energy transport system. Just a mere hours after, Russia launched this attack, and probably was hoping that in such circumstance and such instability, and as Minister Popescu mentioned as well, in the context in which it caused market manipulation and the extremely high prices for gas in Europe, they ended up into this perfect storm circumstance for the European Union. But what happened, in fact, was just as unexpected for Russia, an unprecedented mobilization of the forces of Ukraine and of the entire international community, the free world, to support Ukraine and to strengthen their answer against this aggression. If I am to say, as a result of the experience that we have had in Moldova in the energy sector, the answer of whether Europe can achieve energy independence is a clear one and a decisive one. If we, Moldova, managed, I am absolutely firm and convinced that the EU will manage as well. The question is, what should we do for this? What did Moldova achieve in just 18 months? From a 100% dependence on the Russian gas supply, the first winter, the one just passed, was overcome without Russian gas in the territory controlled by the institutional authorities. It does come through the Transnistrian region, but in fact, we integrated with the European gas market. The same, we are integrated in the European electricity market. And just as everyone panicked and had doubts whether the EU will be resilient to the gas deficit created by Gazprom, it wasn't as obvious that we will manage in Moldova, but with the support of international partners, this brought great cost that our users had to undertake, and that we could reduce due to the unprecedented international support from the EU, from the US, from Romania especially. I want to mention this, and with energy at subsidized prices. And through this transport infrastructure, we could overcome the most difficult period. Probably the most difficult period is already behind us. In the meanwhile, we've developed the state-owned capacities of Energocom. This was from a company that 18 months ago was merely an operator on the internal market, and today is trading gas or is purchasing gas from the international market. There have been operators that secured electricity from Romania. It was the first operator that used commercially the interconnection between Bulgaria and Greece. It was the only operator for some time, I don't know if it's still the only one, that had the experience of using fully the route from Greece through Bulgaria, Romania, Moldova, up to the gas storage in western Ukraine, the so-called vertical corridor. So we did it. And I'm sure that with the support and solidarity of European and transatlantic partners, we will continue to be successful. However, this leap costed us quite a lot, and it is very important now for us to link the public perception, the perception of the people of Moldova between or with respect to accession to the EU, to the new opportunities, well-being, investments, comfort, wealth, because so far we've absorbed the shocks of this crisis, and we have before us a period in which we have to prove that the European Union means investments, for example, in infrastructure and interconnections that will deliver better security and access to better prices, and including investments in energy efficiency. We plan the launch of the residential fund to subsidize energy efficiency, and we already have the availability of the partners, external partners, to contribute to this fund with the budget of Moldova. We want that in the eyes of the public of Moldova, this European role that was undertaken to be irreversible by bringing through or making this connection in people's minds that the European vector, European integration means development and well-being. The hybrid war of the Russian Federation actually includes the fact that you wanted European integration and you have to pay. You have to pay high prices for energy. You've got insecurity. You were disconnected from the power grid and so on. Well, now it is very important to say that the European Union is the exact opposite of this. European Union is development.
Am vrut să spun din ceea ce avem de spus, repet,
This is what I wanted to say. Let me stress the fact that I'm very optimistic with respect to the European Union's energy future in the era that we call post-Gazprom gas.
Very briefly, what is your main challenge in Moldova? I mean, what is it that you cannot sleep well at night? I mean, that wakes you up? I mean, can you tell us?
Well, in fact, yes, as I mentioned, and this is not by chance that I actually reiterated this message several times. The challenge is not so much on the technical side, is not so much on the security side or on, let's say, even on the financial side. The biggest challenge is, the biggest battle is the battle for people's minds, is the battle for the public perception, because we're still in the midst of a hybrid war. The Russians are creating higher prices, and trying to stir and indirectly finance and indirectly support all kind of social unrest to destabilize the situation. And for us, one of the most important things is the battle for people's minds. And in that respect, again, we need to bring the good news associated with the European Union to people. We should make the people feel that European accession, European integration is about the positive agenda, is about energy efficiency which lowers their bills, is about investment into infrastructure that creates jobs, is about all these positive narratives that need to be built.
Thank you, Minister. Professor MANIATIS, please, 5 minutes, no more.
Well, starting from the issue of our panel, the question whether European Union can achieve energy independence, I'm not sure whether I can give an answer. In any case, I will start with a comment. The issue of energy independence and energy security was not given enough priority or attention in the European Union, at least before the Russian invasion in Ukraine. So, although this importance is well described in all EU documents, in any case, in practice, in European strategy, it was not given the necessary importance. So, the issue of energy diversification of sources and routes still remains a key issue on decreasing the energy dependency from any single country. I will continue with the issue of sustainable energy. When we're discussing about sustainable energy, of course, we have 3 pillars. The first one is, of course, green transition, renewables, energy efficiency, etc. But there are 2 more pillars. The second pillar is energy affordability and tackling energy poverty. And the third pillar is energy security. So, at the end of the day, we must give the same attention, equal attention, to all these three pillars. So, in order to face the problem, the current problem, as well as the problems of the future, we in Europe should formulate a new energy doctrine, a new energy strategy, a strategy for today and tomorrow, which strategy is very different than the energy strategy of 2000. Let me give you 5 short comments. First comment. Over the past 40 years, the global natural gas production has increased from 1.5 thousand BCM to 4,000 BCM today. 1.5 some years ago, 4,000 today. According to the International Energy Agency, the global consumption of natural gas towards 2050 will be 4.5 trillion cubic meters. 4,000. We will increase as planet the consumption of natural gas. Second point. In Europe, some years ago, about 20 years ago, we had a total domestic European production of natural gas of about 150 billion cubic meters per annum. Today, we have only 40 billion cubic meters. The missing amount means increasing of dependency on third country, on other supplier. Third point, during the last year of the crisis, European consumers were getting natural gas at prices 7 or more times higher than our US counterparts and competitors. I'm talking about companies. Fourth, within a year, we have decreased in Europe our dependence on the Russian natural gas from 40% to today, maybe it's 6 or 7%. But we have increased our dependency on LNG from about 11, 12, 2 years ago to 38% today. And my fifth remark is that green transition creates new geopolitical challenges. Just one word on this. China is the dominant country on critical and strategic raw materials market, with a share of about 45%, when the second player United States of America has only 7%. 7%. We must have all this in mind. Concluding, 6 phrases. 1, EU energy policies impact all the Mediterranean countries, the Asian, the European, and the African ones. Second point, we must learn from our mistakes in previous energy strategy. Third, East Mediterranean is a region which can provide enough natural gas to European Union as a new reliable source. Fourth, we cannot allow our future energy system to rely on 100% or even 60% imported equipment. Fifth, we must ensure that key technologies are also produced in Europe, not only imported from third countries. And my last comment is that we must ensure that we develop all our available energy, natural resources, renewables, and natural gas. Otherwise, we are just paving the path for repeated and possibly even more acute price surges in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Very briefly again, do you see any synergies between Greece, if you like, with Romania, with this part of the world, on the energy sectors?
Yes, referring to the Greek infrastructure, mainly on natural gas, I would say that in Greece we have Trans-Adriatic pipeline, the interconnector Greece-Bulgaria continuing as vertical corridor towards Romania and northern countries. We have the FSRU in Alexandroupolis, the Revithous LNG station, as well as the 2 electric cables, which are of great importance for the energy security of Europe. One electric cable, connecting Asia with Europe, Israel, Cyprus, Greece, and then northern countries. And the second electric cable connecting Africa with Europe. I'm talking about the green electric cable connecting Egypt with Greece and northern countries. So just to add that we are discussing in energy issues about the diplomacy of pipelines. I think that we should start discussing about diplomacy of electric cables. Since the future of the planet will be electrified in next decades, we should start facing electric cables with the same importance as railway corridors or road corridors, highway corridors, etc.
Thank you, Professor. Ambassador COMընNESCU, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Sorry. Okay. Now, as I'm here with the head of the Secretary General of the Black Sea Economic Organization, and as English is the working language of that organization, I hope that my Romanian compatriots would allow me to go on in English. First of all, I am really pleased and honored to be part of this panel and to have such a distinguished moderator in the person of Symeon TSOMOKOS, who is also the founder and the president of one of the most important global forum, which is the Delphi Economic Forum. Really, I am not telling you that. I'm not saying that to please you because you are the.
I'm only a pianist.
I am really impressed. I was twice participating in Delphi, and I've been very much impressed by the substance of the debates, by the level of the participants, not to speak about the numbers. Now, of course, after having listened to the distinguished panelists before me, I'm now asking myself, I'm wondering whether there still remains something for me to say, because they covered very substantive issues and in a very eloquent way. Nevertheless, with all this in mind, I would dare 5, 6 remarks, or 7, yeah, let's say. First, I really appreciate and I am glad to see that as of late, the Black Sea area has become one of the, let's say, most, one of the topics which have occupied and continue to occupy the center of attention. And it's most welcome. A friend of mine, however, was asking me recently, or saying recently, was asking himself, and I may subscribe to his remark, which is as follows: would we have needed to wait for a war so that to realize how important this region is, not only for the region itself, but for the world? I'm afraid he might have been right. And here I have to say that, and welcome very much what the Prime Minister of Romania said today about the fact that Romania has been there for more than 20 years trying to bring to the fore, to the attention of the international community, how important this region is. And now as Secretary General of the organization which I was referring to, I have to say that I realize even better that this is an extremely important region in many terms. Security, because let's not forget, security, well, it's understandable that people talk now very much about what could be referred to as hard security. But there is an extremely important dimension of security, which is the economic one, including, and that's, if I may say so, a subdivision, it's the energy security. And from that point of view, I think that everybody, if one only looks to the map of the world, one could realize what extremely important, geostrategically speaking, the Black Sea area is. Asia, Europe, Asia, North, South, and so on and so on. So this is my first remark. Second, well, everybody speaks about how to get energy independence. And we hear now where there is talk in the European Union about that. And yes, I would have nevertheless asked myself, is it this independence the right term? Or should we rather speak about interdependence and how to reach a resilient, sustainable interdependence? Because if we look into, for example, where the energy sources are located, definitely there is no, I mean, physically speaking, I wonder whether we can speak about independence in the very literary meaning of the word. This is why I would rather speak more about resilient interdependence, or as one of the well-known experts, Michael Barnard, was saying, perhaps we should speak about strategic interdependence. It's just one remark which I wanted to make. And this, of course, doesn't mean not to do whatever we can so as to reach as high as possible degree of self-sufficiency. That's for sure. Excuse me. And here, of course, the importance of renewable energies has been mentioned here. And this is, for example, one area where through we can raise up this level of self-sufficiency. Or there is now talk about getting resilience through economic degrowth. This is a concept which I think deserves to be looked at. My third remark. Well, we, in the last 1.5 years, have seen that the EU has mainly concentrated, when talking about energy independence, of how to eliminate dependence of Russia in terms of energy. And that led to the launching of a series of démarches and negotiations with other actors to provide for alternative sources of routes of supply and sources of supply. And here again, one has realized how important the Black Sea Caspian region is. But here, I have to say that, and I fully subscribe to what Professor MANIATIS was saying, I think that there is room and need for an approach which appropriately combines the short, the medium, and long term. The idea of Professor MANIATIS about a new EU strategy in energy, I think it's something which deserves to be duly taken into account. Because, here there are two questions which come to my mind. And one is, what will or should the European Union, EU do with energy reserves and resources of Russia after the war? This is one question. And second, perhaps deriving from that, when I was first time foreign minister of my country, I paid a visit to Turkmenistan. That was in 2008. And there we were discussing about the possibility of a consistent and sustainable energy link between Central Asia and Europe. And the Turkmen side, interlocutors, were telling me we are ready to engage in this, but we need help to, first of all, to be sure that our availability of gas would find enough place on the European market, and second, to help us in building the necessary pipelines across the Caspian to get to bring the gas to. By that time, I did not observe that much, let's say, readiness from the European Union side to engage in this. Now I see that there is much, much more will and perception of necessity. My fourth remark. When talking about energy independence, or as I said, strategic interdependence, one key element is energy connectivity. And here again, I hope you'll agree with me that the role of the Black Sea area is of paramount importance. My fifth remark. BISEC is an organization consisting of 13 member states. And beyond the unfortunate current situation, I think that every effort should be made to, let's say, to help these countries of this region to make the best use of their energy potential. And there is an important dimension which has been developing, and that is the renewable energy. My sixth remark. We have, talking about long-term strategy, we have to not to ignore the UN Agenda 2030 about meeting the Sustainable Development Goals. And finally, my last remark, there is clearly a need of better synergies between what the EU is doing and what other organizations, be they regional or sub-regional, are doing. That's an extremely, extremely important point. Why I'm saying that? I see today that, for example, we in POPESCU, we are trying to find ways to how to deal with energy. The European Union is doing the same, the Imagining Project. The 3C initiative is doing the same. I do not see that much, let's say, interconnectivity or synergy in this respect. And I think that it deserves to be paid due attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador. I think we have only 1 minute and a half. I would like to give the floor for 30 seconds to each of the speakers if they would like to make a final comment. Minister of Energy of Romania, perhaps?
Thank you. So what I want to comment is that we have to keep going. We have to keep the solidarity and unity and to help Ukraine and Moldova and to have more to bring them to the European Union's energy system and to help them to pass through this horrible war that Russia started with it.
Thank you. Mr. PARLICOV.
Yes, I would like to just say that indeed we think that the most difficult times are behind us. Now we need to focus on building the future. And in our case, as Moldova, integration in the EU has to be the battle for the people's minds, and also an offer, an opportunity for in terms of reintegrating the country, because this offers also opportunities for our citizen in the separatist region to understand that they will be better off in a more secure space, in a more prosperous space within the European Union.
Thank you. Yannis?
If I could say in one word,
10 seconds.
the result is cooperation and interconnectivity in order to believe that we as Europeans can go forward to the future based on our own forces in renewables, in energy efficiency, as well as in concrete natural resources. Let's go towards this path.
Thank you. Ambassador, I liked your comment about the further cooperation between the EU and POPESCU. I think this is a must.
Well, I would allow myself just one brief remark. I once reiterate the need that while striving to find the best way possible to deal with the current challenges in the area of energy, we should at the same time give appropriate attention to the long-term thinking. Once again, I fully and welcome this idea of a new EU energy strategy. And if you allow me one remark outside this. As of now, suspending member of the scientific board of the new strategy center because of my current duties, I can't help myself not to mention that I'm particularly glad that an agreement of cooperation between the Delphi Forum and the new strategy center has been concluded, and I congratulate those who enabled that. Thank you.
And we have more events to do together, Ambassador, I promise you. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give them a round of applause, please. And thank you very much for participating. Ministers, thank you very much. Professor, thank you.